All right.
What were Sniper's GSTL accolades?
He beat Slayer's Eve and made her cry.
What? Was that Sniper?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's one of the greatest accolades you could ever ask for.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of Drunk History, StarCraft 2 History with ZombieGrub and Fear Dragon. Talking about the worst finals of StarCraft 2. Many of you might remember these. Many of you will not. As I have learned, many people have come in around more 2015, which is still pretty old, 5 years of watching StarCraft, and yet you miss some of the most crucial parts of our history. So, alright, let's start off with probably the most bullshit finals ever. If you watch this series, you'll know that I talked briefly about broodlord-infestor. Not a great thing. It did cause a lot of problems as far as balance goes, as far as the enjoyment of, matchups that weren't mirrors. And unfortunately, it also made us enjoy mirror matchups less. ZVZ, obviously, I'm talking about here. So what would happen is that ZVZ would happen all the time because broodlord-infestor was really good. And I think IPL 5 was the GSL finals and semifinals. That's the other important thing that happened. If you have ever come across someone going imba, they're not just saying that what you did was imbalanced or what whoever pro gamer you're watching is imbalanced. They are directly referencing a moment in history. Back in the days of broodlord-infestor, so again around 2012, 2013, you know, some of the non-Zergs getting a little salty, a little bit frustrated. And one of those Terrans who was getting a little bit frustrated was a guy named Ryung, who was on Slayers, and he was kind of, he was one of the promised young lads of the Slayers team, right, along with MMA. He was very good. He got to the semifinals of GSL at IPL 5, and he was up against a guy named Sniper. And it was Ryung versus Sniper, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so... yeah, Ryung vs. Sniper was one of the semifinals. I don't remember what who Hyun was facing. I don't really care. So, Ryung vs. Sniper was happening. Now, Sniper had already, I think, at least what I remember, is that they had already kind of accrued a reputation for being a patch Zerg. Now, patch Zerg didn't just mean that you were good at the time that Zerg was good, which is, you know, what it means for sure, but it meant that you were also doing a lot of broodlord-infestor, which Sniper certainly was. Now, of course, you always will argue, like, well, they should do what's best, and that was best, and yes, of course. But Sniper didn't really do himself any credit as far as being a favorite of the fans by doing it over and over again, and then kind of having the faceless Korean syndrome, which was probably the biggest problem back then. Now it's a little bit different, maybe, but yeah, it was absolutely a critique of the Korean scene. So this guy is up against Ryung, who actually has a bit more of a fan favorite thing going on. He's the not Zerg. He's not, abusing broodlord-infestor. So anyway, Sniper versus Ryung is the semifinals. Now it actually goes to game 5, which is pretty epic considering, again, how people viewed broodlord-infestor. But unfortunately, in game number 5, after a decent game, I won't even say it's like particularly that great, but like a decent game, Zerg wins, basically. And instead of just typing GG, Ryung types imba like 7 times, 9 times, 12 times, whatever, and then taps out. And then GG's and taps out, which of course causes the Pog champs and the lulz and the Twitch chat, and everyone laughs, and Sniper doesn't look so happy about it because he wants to be recognized for his talent and his skill and his hard work, not because he played broodlord-infestor. But that's, again, looking back in history, it's not wrong. Like, he was probably right. That kind of mars the overall GSL. That plus just broodlord-infestor in general. On the other side of things, Hyun wins his side, and Hyun was also a fan favorite. Like, he was pretty cool, he had personality. Unfortunately, what happens is this guy that, like, it's ZVZ, it's not the best, and broodlord-infestor would happen in ZVZ too, so it's not like you could dodge it there either, and it sucked. But Hyun was at least someone who, like, dressed up as a Spiderman and, like, went, like, throwing webs everywhere. Like, he was still someone who was appealing to the crowd. Sniper, again, not so much. Sniper decides the best thing that's ever gonna happen is he's gonna win the GSL against Hyun, against fan favorites, against everyone rooting winning against Zerg and broodlord-infestor by doing broodlord-infestor, and he wins GSL that season. Except no one really cared. He was probably the fastest player to be not forgotten necessarily, but the okay, but player, you know what I mean? Like, of the amount of people who have been forgotten for their final appearances and wins, I'm thinking Sniper is more infamous than he is forgotten, but still, Roro, who was also a tiny bit of a patch Zerg, and Seed, who we'll talk about. So Hyun vs Sniper did actually go to Game 7, which is supposed to be an epic tale. It was just super marred by the meta at the time. It unfortunately can't really shine because of what was happening. So either you had broodlord-infestor or you had Mass Roach.
Nice save. He did Hyun did really force out.
Oh! Here we go. The Infestors in the front trying to throw out their Infested Terrans before they all go down. So many Infested Terrans and Fungal Growths going down. Hyun with a huge concave, but Sniper's even bigger right now.
Sniper closing it in now, swallowing up.
Which, you know, ZVZ has been one of the more criticized matchups until basically 2017, and then it became the only thing we were watching, so it became criticized again. It wasn't necessarily the worst finals, and as a complete stop, nothing fun ever happened, but it was the worst finals because of the surrounding air, because of how people seem to not care, despite it being a GSL Grand Finals at this other super big tournament. It just... no one really wanted to cheer for Sniper after that, and he did basically fall off afterwards, except for what Fear Dragon brought up, which was the GSTL, a team league that was happening alongside Pro League for a long time. It was actually happening before Pro League swapped over. One of their finishing seasons, Slayers was still in it, but they were like basically officially disbanding. They just had a couple more matches to play out, and they faced MVP, which is what Sniper was on, and they sent their... They had picked up a woman named Eve. She hung out with them. She played. She did some PR, I suppose, but was not really supposed to be on the field. And they decided to, why not? Just let her play. And Sniper proceeded to beat her, and she kind of cried. So Sniper also became known as the guy who made a girl cry. So. He gets the semifinals.
What was Sniper's reputation at the time?
So I think you're trying to get me to talk about Sniper versus Eve in the GSTL, but that actually would not happen until after this finals, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I was gonna say Sniper is like a trigger word for ZombieGrub.
Little bit.